So, hello everybody.
Hello guys.
Let's use the last 3 minutes before we officially start. Maybe you tell us in the chat down there from which countries you are joining tonight. Maybe today morning if you're from America. Belgium, Netherlands, UK. Wow. So we have quite some participants tonight.
Cool.
Wow.
All over the world. Great.
All around the globe. USA, okay. Awesome. Do we have some Loxone employees as well in the chat? Some of my colleagues told me they wanted to join. Greetings to you especially. Yeah, there is Igor. Servus. Okay. Super. Tonight will be super special. We've never done something like this before. So we will talk about not so easy stuff. Like this will be really serious. We're talking about huge projects and there is a lot to consider when doing this. And we made some experiences which we want to share tonight. And we also make a big reveal of a brand new feature nobody has seen before. So I'm super happy to do this as well. If I'm looking like this, I have a screen here with the chat open. So if it's weird that I don't look at you guys, then I see you in the chat. Oh, okay, also from Vietnam. So I think we cover almost all time zones. It's in the middle of the night then, Wendy, is it? I guess so. 1 a.m. I'm super glad that you still joined.
Wow.
No pressure on me, right? It should be good then. So, to be fair, we wait the last minute for everybody to have the chance to join in time.
We'll stop the question in the Q&A chat.
Yes, and first things first, if it's possible for you guys, please use the chat function and not the Q&A, because it's way harder for us to keep all the different Zoom windows open. So if you don't mind, post everything in the chat and then we can answer the questions more easy. Okay, so let's start then. First, I'd like to introduce my two colleagues today. First, I'm super proud that our CEO, Manuel Nader, joined us today as a very special guest. He's directly responsible for bigger projects all around the world. So let's try to charm him really nice this webinar so we get some new inside information maybe.
Yeah. Hello guys.
And also I have my long-term employee Andreas with me. He's one of the best Loxone technicians we have around the globe. He's also a trainer, big projects handler. We have been to France, Italy, Switzerland. We've recently been to Saudi Arabia to a project, so I can really rely on him. So he will do the technical part today. As those partners who know me, you know I'm super good in talking and I have the right guys with me when it comes to the technical parts.
Hi guys, awesome that you're here.
So what will be tonight in the webinar, like in a TV news session? We will talk about big projects, how to handle them, how to set them up, how many mini-servers do we as Loxone recommend for which kind of projects, how many function blocks or extensions, or what is a mini-server, a single mini-server capable of doing, some real examples of projects and also some mistakes, common mistakes we often see from the support, so you guys can avoid them. How tree and air is working in deeper details and why we really developed it. How user management is done, how you can have different offices with different users and still they share permissions. There is a dedicated feature for this called Trust. We talk about BACnet, a very recent protocol we added, but super famous in those kind of projects. And actually we recently did, Andreas and I in Saudi Arabia, we're on a project with 2,200 villas, all connected on BACnet. So Andreas can really give you some hands-on experience there as well. We talk about the new library, which is a super cool feature, and I really believe all of you partners should actively use it. How to program efficiently with labeling and everything, and then a super nice outlook on what features to come in different aspects of the automation systems. So, what product categories do you have in mind? We at Loxone, we were like 12 years ago now, we started in which sector? In the housing sector, the residential sector. Smart homes, apartments, that's where we started. So if we imagine the simplest project, to me would be a simple flat with 1 or 2 rooms. How many mini-servers would you use in this one? Probably 1. What about if it's a normal house? Is it still 1? Maybe. Maybe if you have 2 cabinets in the house, in the ground floor, in the first floor, maybe then it already makes sense to use 2 different mini-servers. We will talk about that later. What about a villa, 400 square meters? How many mini-servers? And now I'd like to talk about the single point of failure. What is Loxone's single point of failure? And any system has it. If you imagine a knight, like with swords in medieval, he has a brain, he has sensors, actuators, fingers, feet, okay? But what happens? Head off, knight dead. Same for us. The mini server is the central controlling unit. If it's dead, system's dead. That's how Loxone is built up, which has many advantages, but that's the main disadvantage. And tonight I'd like to talk about how to overcome this and what do we recommend. So in this villa, 400 square meter, I would recommend 2 or more mini servers. And I'd like to talk about having mini servers for dedicated topics. Like in here in our base camp in Austria, we have a mini server for access only, for HVAC only, and then for every floor a single mini server, because we would like to split the responsibilities. And there is different way of doing this. When we then talk about more family houses, like it's still a house, like 400 square meters, 300, but there is like 2 generations living in there, for example. There alone, I would say, hey, I'd like to have a central unit over it because the heating might be the same, heating, cooling. But I would like to have my own visualization for each generation. So there it's already for me multiple ones. And then when it comes to super luxus villas, like 1,000 square meters, or to MDUs with multiple apartments, let's say 80 apartments, how is it done there? I would say every apartment, again, depending on the size, if it's a super big apartment, maybe more, at least 1. And then you might have a general access, a general heating, energy consumption, and these topics. And I would spend them a dedicated mini server. That's a very recent, a very important thing we have come up with. It can be bigger than that. It could be big company buildings. We recently did a project in Norway. Shout out to you guys in the chat if you're there, with I believe 80,000 square meters. Super big. So also we're talking about smart cities nowadays. We got several project plannings where we're talking about whole economical cities and how to control them. And if you imagine now having 10,000 of buildings connected with each other, there might be very dedicated solutions and you have to make some very good thoughts about in the planning in the beginning. So the first big topic to us tonight is client gateway. And maybe you can tell me in the chat, who of you already worked with the client gateway feature in Loxone? I have one in my house since 3 years, myself. There's a lot of you guys using it, okay?
Now the wave comes in.
Now the wave comes with 5 mini servers. That's super, super cool. So there are several reasons for doing it. And what is client gateway in general? Because a lot of you might not know it. If you have one network in, let's say, a building like this, the company, or in a house, one network, you can combine up to 10 mini servers in a client gateway, and you will have one config to program overall. You can use different inputs from different servers on other pages. So let's say the ground floor doorbell also goes to the first floor's mini server to do certain stuff. That's possible. And what's even cooler is that you can still connect to every client, every single one of them, and program there. So the advantages for me are definitely splitting the responsibilities. If heating is a super big topic in this building, then give it a mini server. Same for access. And then this is dedicated for this topic. Then the processing power I often hear. Yes, I mean, this is still a thing from the Miniserver first generation. And actually, how big can a project be? And in the trainings, we often say it depends. How big can it be? But in the past, we said, yeah, one Miniserver up to 30 extensions, 500-meter link. But is this real? What's true today? Can you really connect 30 tree extensions with 100 devices each? So 3,000 devices. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the settings, because there is, of course, a limitation on the bus. And if you now say, I want to have every value of this in 0.1 seconds, I ask, hey, what's the value? What's the value? What's the value? For 3,000, you might have problems. In the flat, maybe this works fine. So that's one big thing. And of course, the reliability. If you have multiple Miniservers, there is not one single point of failure, so you can split up certain areas. But whenever there is advantages, there is disadvantages as well. All right. So to me, it relies on network. And in a house, who's managing the network? Is there a dedicated person? Is it the house owner after? I mean, you as professionals, I think most of you agree, the house owner, if they change the network 2 years after, there might be some things not working anymore, depending what you did before. If you integrate the heating system via network and they change the router, you might, depends on how you integrate it, but it could be that the heating all of a sudden isn't working anymore. But how about big projects, company buildings like this? There might be a professional IT setup. So again, this disadvantage depends on where you use it. So the network becomes part of the system and the network maintenance maybe. And one point why we are all here together tonight is the know-how of the installer, of the partner. And that's what we're talking about. So now my colleague Andy will do a quick setup, a quick showcase, a basic programming of the client gateway. And let me go over there real quick. I show you, we have here 2 demo cases. Do we see it nicely?
No, you turned it off actually.
What?
Yeah, you turned the camera off.
Did I?
We did.
So this is live, guys. I
No
switched it up.
scripting.
The USB is unplugged. Are we back online?
Give it a second.
So just imagine being a camera here. Wait,
Like
I have to start the video again. Here,
There
sorry
we go.
guys.
We're
So we have 2 Miniservers here. We labeled them nicely, 1 and 2. And Andy will now share his screen and give us the basic client gateway setup.
All right. I'll just share my screen. I'll actually pull off my mask now. Thank you very much. So let me quickly know in the chat if you can see my screen, guys, and if everything's clear. Perfect. I think we're good to go, right? Yep. Thank you very much. So as you know now, we have 2 Miniservers. We are currently in the same network, so we've just connected them up to our Basecamp network in the company. They can already ping each other. So this is like the first big topic when we're talking about client gateway. The Miniservers have to be in the same network. Here in our Basecamp, I don't know how many Miniservers we really have running here at the same time, but we already exceeded like the 5 of them that we usually recommend. With your Miniserver generation 1, we still lock it to like 5 Miniservers at a time. With the Miniserver generation 2, you can already go over it. There's no hard number that we really recommend. However, it is what it is. You have to try out here. Okay, with our Miniserver 1 right here, you can see that I also have a Miniserver 2. Of course, these are just my 2 Miniservers over here. And my first thing is going to be that I'm going to have to decide which one is going to be my gateway and which one is going to be my client. In what relationship are now the gateway and the client standing? Theoretically, the gateway will completely take care of the client. However, the client is going to remain his own program. So should for whatever reason the gateway going to fall out, the client is still going to process his own project. So as you can see, I've already prepared my little project here from my, 1 second, I'll have to move my Zoom thing up here. All right, as you can see, I haven't really programmed anything here already, but I have learned in my extensions, my tree extension, I could learning quickly my tree devices here, so you can actually see that everything is going to be taken over. When I'm going to merge those two, it's very important that, for example, you're going to check your rooms as well as your categories, because with the client, everything is going to be merged. So if you have things called doubled on the other mini server here on the gateway, we're going to have them, 2 times. So if you have a typo, if you misspelled living room, for example, now you're going to take it over. This is going to be bad, because then you have a living room which is correctly spelled and the living room which is not correctly spelled.
So Andy, tell us real quick. So to sum it up, we are just connected to one demo case, which is the left program you have here, right?
Exactly. This one, mini server 2, is going to be the right one.
So this is a second tab in the config where we are connected to the second one. And
exactly.
now we would like to merge those two together.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my mini server program. I'm going to save it. As you can see here, I'll say save as. And now again, I've already saved them in here. It's webinar mini server 2. So I know which one it is. I'll click on save and hit yes. So now I have my program saved. I'm going to go over to my second mini server, to the mini server 1. Just so you notice here on this mini server, I have fewer rooms created than on this mini server. So just that we can see that all those things that I've created are going to be taken over on the other mini server. All right. I'm going to go ahead now to my mini server 1, which is going to be my gateway. So he is going to be the main mini server, right?
So you decide which one will be the gateway right now.
Okay. I could also do the other mini server. There's no specific reason why I'm going to choose the mini server 1. It's just that I selected him to be my gateway. Now with a right click on my mini server, I can select add project to gateway. My search is going to pop up here under downloads. For example, I have now saved my 2 programs. The mini server 1 is the mini server of the gateway. The MS2 is going to be the mini server program of the client. I'm now going to put the client into the gateway. So here I'm going to have to select the second one. Now this message is very important. As I discussed earlier, things that are created on the client are now going to be taken over to the gateway. Things like icons, users, NFC tags or access codes that are already assigned to those users, user groups, operating times, weather service, also the rooms and categories, as I'm going to show you. So yeah, here just be sure that everything is already managed, that you don't have things doubled. And also for the users, very importantly, those two going to have the same user. So on my mini server, for example, I created an admin with a specific password. And on my second mini server, I also created a user called admin with the same password. This is necessary so we can merge them together.
So as a summary, before merging those 2 projects, you should do user, check for the users to have the same users. And if you have 2 different rooms and categories, then you have to make sure that they are not equal. So not that you have like living room and the other one has living room written differently, because then it will merge them as 2 different rooms. So when starting a project like this and you are sure from the beginning that they have a client gateway, it's not that big of a deal, because then you know the right rooms. So now let's just merge them and then we see them in the periphery here.
All right. So as you can see now, after pressing OK on the little pop-up, we have now the mini server 1 and the mini server 2 in the same project. I can already press here on the rooms, and you're going to notice on my mini server 1, I now have all the other rooms that were created on the mini server 2. Also here on the bottom left, on the bottom right, you can see now that I have a page in a blue color, also a page in an orange color. So this is important because I'm going to program later on here. And I'm going to have to, of course, use my logic that I'm going to want to program for the mini server 1 on the blue side. And the same thing, the orange page is going to be for the mini server 2. But now, so that everything is going to go online, there's one thing left for me to do, which is just going to save in the mini server. Here, he's giving me a pop-up that currently there's a new mini server in the client gateway. So of course, I'm going to say yes. And please wait until the mini server has restarted and the current configuration symbol is green. All right, I'll do that. Say okay. And here's going to reboot, and both mini servers are going to be online here in a second.
Now we have colors in the config. That's very rare.
So for example, here, if I open up the device status, you can already see that from my Miniserver 1, the airbase and the tree extension is already online. Same goes for my Miniserver 2, airbase and tree extension is online. So I now know that the merging has been successful. They're green here. So now I can use the two peripheries, for example, the digital inputs as well as the digital outputs from the two miniservers together. Also,
so as there was a question raised, can I do auto configuration? So guys, if you imagine these two miniservers can be completely programmed. So the one for the first floor does all his rooms, does all his logics, all his pairing, everything. Same as for the ground floor. So you can also do the auto configuration there with the right rooms. And then afterwards, everything is finished. Then you pair them into the client gateway. And then you make the features like sharing data that you require over those two miniservers.
all right. So let me just make a quick example, I guess, so that you can actually see that now from one miniserver, I can something over to the other miniserver. I'm just going to grab from my miniserver 1 a digital input. I'm going to drag and drop it into my program side. On my digital input, I actually here on my miniserver have a little switch that I can press. And only thing I'm going to do theoretically is now I'm going to grab a switch plug. I'm going to grab my input number 1 and connect it to the switch so I can trigger this one. And now I'll go over to my other miniserver 2 and I'll grab a relay output from that miniserver, right? So I'm going to control via this input, via this digital input from my miniserver 1, the digital output number 1 from my second miniserver, miniserver 2. So I'm going to go back into the blue page, drag and drop this over. You can see that now it has a little yellow outline so that we always know, hey, this outline here indicates that it's a different periphery from another miniserver. So I'm just going to grab it. I can still connect it as always onto the output of the switch. I'm going to have to save in the miniserver first, so he really takes over my configuration. And when he's back up, I can show you that now. Maybe you can even hear it. I don't know how good our...
We will stop the sharing and you see it in the camera. So again, what happens here? The miniserver's input number 1 from the left demo case. When it's triggered, this miniserver sends over network to the second miniserver. Hey, please now turn on your relay. Let's give it a try.
So now just so you can see it in the live view, for example, I'm now going to press my switch. As you can see, now the output is triggered. We can stop the share. And actually there's a little LED.
Let's do it. Can we see it? Maybe I go with the camera. Thank you. A little, just bend it over. Thank you. Okay.
So you can see our miniserver 2. We have here our 8 relay outputs. And there's a little LED indicating on the miniserver that it's active right now. And yeah, with my switch that I have on my first miniserver, I can actually switch it on and off. For example, now, now you see it. So I'm pressing now from my other miniserver the switch, and as you can see, I'll just toggle it on and off.
Perfect. Thank you, Manu.
You're welcome. I like this.
Okay. So, yep. Please bend the camera back to us. A little higher. Yes, perfect. Thanks.
Excuse me.
So this was the very basic configuration of a client gateway. Now I'd like to show you, or let's talk about one thing in network topology. There is 3 main communications. There is unicast, there is multicast, and there is broadcast. And a unicast, as the name suggests, is a one-on-one communication, IP this to IP that by the switch. A multicast is one to a list of selected ones, like a mailing list, an emailing list. And broadcast is like we do now. I broadcast to you, like a radio station, a TV station, whatever. I don't get feedback if you hear it or not. And the big disadvantage of broadcast is that everybody has to process all the data. Everybody needs to open the package. Is it something for me? No. But everybody needs to always watch everything. And that's the very dangerous part about doing some things over network. And now I would like to show you one project example where exactly this happened. There were multiple things going on. And before talking too much, I just show you. Should see my screen now. Yes. Okay. So I have here gateway ground floor, client first floor, client second floor. There is an airbase here. There is different rooms like kitchen, central, living room, and bedroom. Let's have a look on the first one here. There is a blue page. It's the gateway mini server, ground floor, this one here. Where is this input coming from? From this same mini server. The output also from the same mini server. This is super fine. Let's look on the living room. I have here the yellow page from this yellow mini server here, first floor. The input is coming from the green one and the output as well. And this is very, very dangerous. Because why? There is a logic where an input of the green guy should trigger an output of the green guy. But the logic is done on the yellow one. So what happens if the network, for whatever reason, isn't working? It's no longer triggering the logic. And this sounds like stupid. Who would do this? But in the programming, in the project make, this happens very often, sadly. So really keep an eye on if it's really necessary to do something, some inputs, outputs on another mini server, because all the communication will be done on the other one, okay, over network. What about this one here? We have a blind. So there is a blind actuator on air on the yellow one. It's on the yellow room, and there is coming the input from the blue one. And this is super fine. That's the whole purpose of client gateway. That's the fun of it, to use inputs on different mini servers. Just the point is, if there is no reason to send it over network because everything is on one mini server, then don't use the logic on another mini server. Don't process it. And this again sounds super easy, but what happened in a real project is that it was an RS485 extension or 232, doesn't matter. And if you look on the polling circle here, that was real. It was 0.01 seconds. So 100 times per second, we say, what's your status? What's your status? What's your status? What's your status? On 60 window contacts. So 6,000 values every second. And what happened then? It's on the green mini server. And all this logic was put on a central page onto an alarm. So 6,000 values per second over network were sent to this other mini server. That's super, super crazy. And the problem is, or not for us, but the problem was the mini server can do this. The mini server is powerful enough, but the network wasn't. Of course, there were other things like with the baud rate of the RS485 extension, you wouldn't even get all those values out, but that's another topic. But you see how much communication on network is forced. And another example, if you have a weather station, like a classical one on a digital input, you can on certain extensions activate a frequency input, like on the DI extension. There is a checkbox. Where it is here? A checkbox for use frequency counter. Why is that? Because otherwise, if you have 40 turns of the wind per second, it would send 40 signals over the link. Not talking about client gateway in general, from the extension to the mini server on the link. 40 times per second, if that's the value. Still, this could be super fine in a flat, in a house. But once you're talking about having up to 30 extensions in a real big project, maybe you reach the limit of the link communication with bad settings. That's possible. That's why we said the frequency counter, every extension has a microprocessor on it. So if you activate the frequency counter here, the extension will send the analog value 41, 40, 39. So the actual rounds per second as an analog value on the link. So one time and not 40 times. And that brings me also to a very special next topic. What if you have a DMX extension? I mean, I'm getting old. My new colleagues maybe don't even remember DMX, but this was all this great stuff in the event technology, right? Like this in discos, disco. What happens if we want to dim a DMX actuator as a non-Loxone protocol standard DMX? Dim a lamp from 0 to 100% in 2 seconds. It was on the DMX. What's the DMX thing? It's DMX 512 or something. So there was a dedicated step size, and every tenth of a second or so, dim to 1, dim to 2, dim to 3, dim to 5. So again, it was very stupid in a way, because like for every time a change was, it needs to do this. But what now about a Loxone tree dimmer? Let's add one here really quick. Why is there this smart actuator type? Because again, every tree device, every tree dimmer, every tree spot has a microprocessor on it. And if you say, I want to dim the light up from 0 to 100 in this color, or even a color change sequence, then the command is sent, hey, Loxone spot, Loxone dimmer, dim it up from 0 to 100 in 5 seconds. One command. If you have 100 spots and you use a lighting group here, a lighting group, then it's one command. Lighting group, living room, spots 1 or 0 to 100% in 7 seconds. It's one command. And that's why, and that's what we can do. These inventions we can only do on our own protocols because DMX is a standard, DALI is a standard. But now you see the reason for why we have those devices for real projects. And again, in a house, maybe that's not a topic, but as it's getting more and more components in bigger and bigger projects, this is really getting limits. Okay, so how could we now solve this situation here? If for whatever reason you really want to make a polling circle here of 100 milliseconds, no, 1 millisecond, sorry. What should you do then? For whatever reason, I would never use it like this, send it to this mini server. No, I would make, oops, not on yellow, but on green. I would make a dedicated page, okay, dedicated page called maybe alarm. And on this page, I add all my 60 actuators. And then I say, hey, if one of them is triggering, you could also use the burglar alarm right here. If one of them is triggering the alarm, so you connect all of them like this you all know, up to 60 or whatever it was in this project. And then from here, you make a memory flag. A memory flag called, hey, alarm of the freaking nice sensors. And then you transfer this value here onto this yellow one, just once in case of there was something happening, not like this. I hope you can understand the difference, right? Here we send 60 sensors over network in 6,000 values per second. And in this case, we made the logic of, hey, if any one of these 60 do it, then we send once, hey, now we got an alarm. And that was exactly the real big topic in this case. So now, the next thing we would like to talk about is intercommunication. There is 2 ways of doing it. There is the network one, and there is the tree one. And both of them are in principle doing the same. First thing we talked about was client gateway. One visualization on top of multiple mini servers. You can make users, user groups, user rights, but that's the idea of client gateway. What about you have apartments? Would you like to have all 80 apartments in one visualization? Probably not. But you would like to know if there is a storm coming in all of them, or you would like to send the energy consumption of each flat to a central mini server. So it's not like as kind of connected as in client gateway. It's still individual people living there having not much to do with each other, but we want to transfer certain values like wind speed or even better than wind speed if there is one mini server making the calculation. Hey, if the wind is greater than 40 miles per hour, then there is a wind alarm, and then we only send the wind alarm. That's again even better, because then you don't have to permanently send the wind speed to all of them. Okay, and now Andreas will quickly guide us through this topic and also show us that one window contact of this left demo case can trigger the alarm of the right one as well. So please go ahead.
Of course, I'll share my screen again. 1 second. All right, let's do this. So we're already familiar with two mini servers. The basic setup that we're going to do right now is that I'm going to send from my mini server number 1 an information to my mini server number 2, which is just going to trigger me a relay, for example, right? We said, hey, yeah, sure, we can make it a window contact that triggers a burglar alarm here, for example, on this one. I'll again just trigger the relay so that we can see that the information has been shared. We can share any kind of things here with the network intercommunication. We can share analog values, digital status, of course. We can also share text. So we have all the possibilities here. Okay. Network intercommunication. First of all, you can find it here under the network periphery. It's right here. First things first, we're going to have to set a local ID. This is the ID of the mini server which you're working on. So here, mini server 1, I'll just give him the ID MS1. Can basically set everything. It's a maximum of 8 characters long, so have fun here. We can set ports from 1000 to 65,535. I would recommend to just set it over 1024, because I think till 24 we still have them reserved for kind of services. But yeah, just go with, for example, let's do 5,000. Then we're surely on the safe side. I'll also go quickly over now to my second mini server. Right, this is the other one. And I'll also go over here to my network periphery. And you can see now, again, I have to set another local ID. Very easy for this one. I'll just set mini server 2. And here I could set now to the same port that they're communicating, or let me just say, set 6,000, right? So I have mini server 2, 6,000 as the port. And if I go over here on this mini server, I have mini server 1 and 5,000. So now, as I said, I want to send over from my digital input, theoretically, just the current state, right? If he's on, I want to send it over to my other mini server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my network intercommunication. I'm going to create a remote system, and I'm going to give it a name, like, for example, window contact. And here I'm going to have to set now an ID of the remote system that I want to communicate to, right? I am my own mini server is the MS1 with the port 5000. And now I'm going to set, hey, who do I want to send it to? We already know the other mini server has the ID MSN2. So I could just type it in directly. There's also some very handy features here, which is wildcards with a star or a question mark. So if I'm funny, I could just type in the star and it would also work, because the star stands for any number of characters. So whatever I would have typed in with a star, everybody is always going to receive it, because in the later example, I'm also going to explain that we can, of course, send it to multiple ones. A broadcast is, of course, possible. So here I could type in a star for everything, or just an MS and a question mark. That would also work, because my other mini server just has to start with MS, and then the question mark is going to be the wildcard for anything that follows. But it's just for that one character.
So let's say you have 2 buildings where you have building 1 with 50 flats and building 2 with 50 flats. So using the wildcard could be that every one of those 100 should receive the wind speed, the wind warning. But maybe then it would be the star. So it would be sent to anybody. If you, for whatever reason, link 2 mini servers, really like this information, because maybe this is my mother's apartment and I would like to know if everything is okay in her house specifically, then I can make this direct connection and I directly type in the ID of this one system. The other one with the question mark would have been, if it's still 2 buildings with 50 apartments each, maybe the fire alarm in one building should only be sent to this one building's mini server. Then I could use the question mark and use this building 1 mini server question mark, and then it's sent to all of them. But let's go for the simplest version and directly intercommunicate with one and another.
All right. As additional info here, not only we're going to need to tell him the ID, but also we're going to have to tell him the network address. With the, for example, when we're going to make a broadcast, of course, a broadcast address with 4 times 255 is going to be possible. You could do this, but as we are going to make the simple direct connection, I'm just going to type in the direct IP address of the other mini server, which I'm just going to grab quickly from here, copy and paste that, easy as that. Now I'm going to have to tell him the port which he's on. Let's just check one more time. I'll go over to my mini server, network intercommunication, and the port I've set for him is going to be 6000.
This was your decision, right?
Was my decision, of course.
Okay.
I could also now, I mean, it's a direct connection, so theoretically it would not be necessary, but I can set a use encryption where I'm going to lock the, for anybody else who might also have a mini server and would search for incoming packets, I can say use encryption. I'm going to lock it with a password so he cannot see my values that I'm going to send, or pretty much anything. He's not going to know what it is unless he knows the password.
So for the guys in Germany where data law is a big topic, here you can encrypt the packages between those different customers.
Exactly. So let me just do it. Theoretically, it would make more sense if I make it like this, and there would be maybe an MS3 and an MS4 also in here, because these could definitely see it in the packages, but if they don't know the password, they can't read it out at all. So set it up here, encryption is in there. I'll save in the mini server. Very importantly, I've also saved already in the mini server on here on my second mini server, so that he knows he's the MS2 with the port 6000. And yeah, only thing left to do for me, essentially, after my mini server has rebooted, he's back. I'm going to go over here, network intercommunication. And now instead of creating one, I'm just going to search for it. Theoretically, one of the big things, the big pluses about Loxone is that you can pre-program everything. And if you know how your network is going to be set up, you could also pre-program the whole network intercommunication. Anyhow, I'm just going to search now for the incoming packages.
Do you know the encryption already?
Yes. So let me check one more time, but theoretically we should already be good and saved in. Mini server 1, 5000. We send it to mini server 2 with the 78, the 6000. Oh, right. I mean, of course, we need to create the output here first. I mean, he's already good to go, but we're going to have to set the output what we want to send him, right? So here, I'm just going to create the output. I'm going to connect my input to the output here. I'll just give him the name window contact, for example.
All right.
So here, after that, the name here is just for me in the visualization, more or less. The important thing is that we want to send out is now, of course, the packet ID, and I'll just call him, yeah, window 1, for example. It's a digital type because it's just an on and off repetition. I'm going to send it every 5 seconds because I don't want to wait 10 seconds. So this is just every 5 seconds, I'm just going to send the packet ID. And yeah, let me just save it in again. It's already connected. So now I'm good to go. And he's back
So
out.
if this window contact, can you go back to this first one? Like this window contact here, this could be like, for the naming, I think it's a bit confusing. This would be like the window contacts. And then for every single window contact you would like to transfer, you make a dedicated actuator. Or this could be the flat communication, and then you have an analog value, which could be the wind speed, and a digital one, which would be the fire alarm or water alarm or whatever. Okay.
All right. So now let's go over there and get the input, 5 seconds theoretically. And now we see that in the search, we now can find our encrypted packet. So theoretically, we can only see the MS1 is sending it. All right, but I don't know the packet ID. I don't know what data type it is. I don't see a value. I just know that it's encrypted. It's basically it. Also can see that it already sent it 4 times because I've set the polling cycle 5 seconds, right? So when I now try to enter it, first of all, he's asking me the password, which is going to type in. If the password is correct, I now still have to enter the network address from who I'm receiving it. And this one is the 10.7.11.79. And I've set the port 5000 on the other mini server, right? This is the one that I receive it from. I'll say, okay. And now we have it inputs in use on the other side. I can now see that it's window 1. I could assign it to a room and to a category. It comes from Miniserver 1 packet ID window 1. I'm now going to close it. I'm going to drag and drop it in. I have to click off it one time. He is now creating, so I can drag in it.
You're on the cover or not?
No, it just takes him a second to create it. So here, it's just, you have to take a second. There you go.
There it is.
I was on the cover page actually.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are now, have it inputted. I could change the name again from window 1 to window contact MS1. So I know theoretically this one comes from the other mini server. And he's going to just activate my relay now, right? I can use this in the program now however I want. So I can connect it to my burglar alarm. I can connect it to my window and door monitoring block, whatever. I'm just, again, going to activate my Q1 relay here. And yeah, only thing left for me to do is to save in the mini server and activate my live view when it's back up. And then I can already activate.
And again, the result is the same as with the client gateway from before. We get an information from one mini server, but the connection between them is now for only this value and not for a general visualization and not for like as we had it before. That's the difference.
So as you can see, I'll go over to my mini server real quick, and I'm going to now activate my input number 1. Well, I'll press it here on my mini server, and if I go over, you can see in the live view we received the input. I can trigger it, toggle it, whatever I want. And now this is just directly via the network intercommunication. You can see this happens immediately. I don't need to wait 5 seconds. This was just for the running input.
So it's instant. It's not the 5 seconds. That's also very important for you guys to know. Okay. And so that was the network intercommunication. And now let's talk about the tree intercommunication. So the difference here is in the config, it's super similar. Maybe you can already go on it. You will have one tree branch. So either the one on the mini server or one of the 2 available on a tree extension. You have to say this one is now only being used for tree intercommunication. So you cannot say you use it for touches and stuff. And in addition, no, it will be only used for this topic. That's one difference. And the major difference is now it's no longer network dependent because it's a cable from one mini server to another. And there might be projects like in flats where maybe customers have their own routers, have their own internets in there, and you cannot rely on really being always in the same network with your mini servers. Then tree intercommunication would make sense. Maybe in a bigger project, you can save a ton of wiring effort because the network is reliable and you don't have to connect them with cables in between. And the topology of the tree intercommunication, how is it?
Sorry, I was reading someone in chat.
How is the tree intercommunication? Is it, can you wire it the same as like every tree device, like the cool way?
You can go into all the different mini servers. You can actually, same as with the normal tree line, connect 50 other mini servers on one line of the mini server.
Okay, that's super cool. And how many mini servers, good question in the chat, can now tree intercommunicate? Is there a limit?
Theoretically, you can expand it into oblivion because one mini server, you can directly connect 50. So that means that you have now 50 times 50 times 50 times 50.
So still, oblivion. There is a limitation of 50 devices on one branch. Directly connected, but there is no reason why not one of the connected mini servers has 49 other mini servers. All right, guys. And if anybody of you ever makes a project with more than 50 mini servers in tree intercommunication, please let me know the reference. So how you set it up, I think you can super fast go over it. It's really similar. You select the tree branch, you switch it with the checkbox here to tree intercommunication, and then you will see it looks a little different on the periphery tree.
Yeah, actually I would say it's a little bit easier because we don't need to add that many informations. Same thing as with the intercommunication though, we're going to need to set them a local ID. So I'm just going to use the MS1 again. I'm going to go over to my other mini server. I have like a cable connected. So here I'll just have it connected to my other tree extension as well. On the right branch, you're always just going to have to make sure if you're not using the tree branch directly from the mini server, if it's the left or the right one. Again, I'm going to activate it. and I'm going to set my mini server local ID here to MS2 again. Let me go over, and I'll just do the same thing theoretically as I did with the network intercommunication, where I'm going to create a remote system. I'm going to name it window contact or window contact, and I'm going to only now have to tell them, hey, ID of the remote system that I want to talk to is now the MS2. I can use the encryption again. I'll just do it.
No, we can skip over this. So this is really the same, as we have like 10 more cool features to show you.
Yeah.
And which leads us to the next one, which is the mini server trust. This was recently added, and Andreas was kind enough to explain me how it works. And if you imagine having like Loxone, multiple subsidiaries. We have a branch here in Kollerschlag, the headquarters. There is an office in Vienna, near to Stuttgart, in Barcelona, like 20 offices. And here there is Richard, who drives a lot from one to another. So I'm a lot in our subsidiaries. How can I make sure now that I can come in with my NFC or my code or whatever into other branches? That's like the challenge we had. And therefore, we now made a feature called Loxone Trust, where we can now, like the word suggests, now Loxone Austria can trust Loxone Spain, and then we can synchronize the same users, user groups, user rights to other mini servers via internet, right? And that's the feature all about. And now Andy gives us a quick look in this feature. And as for all of it tonight, guys, you can already start your screen. If you have a project like this, if you have questions, please use our consulting, call your partner coaches, call your technicians. We're super glad to help you, especially in those big projects, as there is so many things to think about.
We want to do the drawing first, or we want to start with the config?
We prepared something. We prepared a super nice
Let's actually
drawing.
switch over there.
I call Andy Picasso because he's such a nice drawer.
Actually, I almost have like something like Bob Ross because of the hair. It's not quite as much, but I'll get close to it.
Just make sure that you don't hide everything. Go on the left side.
Yeah, okay.
Let me see. Yes, it's good.
Perfect. I hope you can spot everything pretty well. I did my best there. I tried it like 5 times.
No, it's mirrored.
Oh boy.
The microphone is here. So Andy, you have to talk into the mic here. So it's super hard for you, huh?
That's all good. So,
and it's mirrored. You have to write mirrored because the camera is mirrored.
I'll try. I learned that in middle school, I guess. Okay, so what we can see here is now an example where we're going to show you how you can use these topics together. We have already talked about the client gateway. We have already talked about the network and the tree intercommunication. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to use the trust and those other features all in one together, because this is a real life example that we have here. What you can see is just a big commercial building. We have multiple companies here rented out a space here on those different floors. I know it's mirrored, unfortunately, but this is...
I know it's not. It's just for me. I don't know why,
okay,
but for the participants, it's fine.
Well
done. Okay, my fault.
So here we have the ground floor, of course, and there I'll just have it all together. My company I just named it C, is gonna rent out all those 4 spaces. On the first floor, however, there's 2 companies renting out the space. So I just have this L shape more or less where my company A is gonna rent everything out. And then I've got this small, maybe startup company, right, that I have this small sector, which is the company B. Right, so everything's controlled by Loxone, obviously, because why wouldn't they? And we are now gonna have a great feature where we have a more or less we always have
the quality of the sound is bad. You have to turn to the microphone. I'm sorry for that.
Right, I'll just put that one a little bit here.
Yes.
So I can turn like this. Is it better now?
Smart. That's why he's the smart guy.
All right. So what I was trying to explain was that if we have now those different companies renting out the space, we can always, if we have in those certain areas, have multiple mini servers, can change these all around, because maybe in the future, this company A is going to dissolve and maybe company B is going to take over a few spaces. So if we take one mini server in each of the spaces, so Let me just draw it in Bob Ross style. We only have a few happy little accidents, maybe, if I draw really bad.
So again, in the beginning, it was cut off. So this building has 8 sections when it's built from the investor, and then he rents it. And some companies take just one of the 8. One company like the A company takes 3 of them, and C takes a whole floor. But we don't know in the beginning. So in the beginning, we say we take 1 miniserver into all of them to be flexible afterwards.
Exactly. So now, theoretically, we now know, okay, A is going to take this L shape, P is going to take just this one space, and C is going to take the whole ground floor. So what system, what feature now can be used that we group those together? We actually talked about it at first. It's the client gateway. So now I'm going to take this miniserver, this miniserver, this miniserver. I'm going to say, okay, maybe one of them is my gateway. I'm just going to mark it with a G here. This is my gateway miniserver, and these are just my clients, right? So these two directly communicate with my gateway miniserver, which also allows me with the user management that I'm also going to touch on, to every time I enter a new employee, this is going to be very easy because this space might just be for the marketing employees. This space might be just for the developers. So here it allows me to be very, very flexible. This B company with his one miniserver, I don't have to make a client gateway. He's just one miniserver, right? And the C, however, now we have 4 miniservers. So again, I'm just going to design one as a gateway, and the other ones are going to be my clients.
And the reason for the gateway is that company C has one visualization for all the 4 sections. That's the reason for the gateway.
Exactly. So everything, all those 4 are going to be put together in one program, one visualization for that matter. Great. My next topic now that I'm probably always face when we're going to have a big company like that is going to be weather data. They're most likely going to have shadings and everything. So weather station that are beautifully drawn up here as well. But one weather station, as you know, can only be learned in on one miniserver directly. So I'm not going to want to put like 8 weather stations on top of the roof here. I'm just going to grab one weather station, learn it in, for example, to my gateway miniserver over here. So I'm just going to draw my tree line theoretically here to my miniserver, and he now has already the weather information. And we're just going to now take our other feature, the second one that we discussed, which was the network intercommunication, and going to share it to the other gateways and directly to my B miniserver, because then I don't have to like send it to him, and everybody. We're going to save a lot of network traffic. So here with the network intercommunication, I'm going to make the line red. I'm going to share the weather information to this miniserver and also directly to my gateway miniserver, because he is going to distribute the information to his clients anyway. I don't have to like send it to everybody individually. This is saved by making the gateway clients, making the network intercommunication, sharing those general informations just to the gateways. Also, for example, if you have like a central fire alarm, central burger alarm, this can be used exactly for that, to share this statuses, these informations. All right, we have one more case here, which also is quite often a topic. You can see it again, this beautifully drawn site building here. Can we see it all well?
Yes, it's all good.
Cool. So here, this is like a garage. You know, all the employees are going to come to the company and they're going to want to park the car somewhere. And for these additional features, we said we are going to use an extra miniserver, like for example, access or HVAC managed topics like that. So here I'm going to put also a specific miniserver in it. I'm going to call it FM for facility management. And he is going to, for example, control an NFC code where you can enter your code or hold on your NFC fob for the access that the garage is going to open up for you to park your car. And now everybody is going to have to get access on this NFC. So how are we going to do this, right? This miniserver has a few users, this miniserver has users, they are shared together on the gateway. Okay, but this guy doesn't directly talk to the users of this guy, and this one also has individual users. Also, there might be like a cleaning personnel, right? And the cleaning personnel should have access in all the different buildings and all the different doors. And if you make a client, like a user for the cleaning personnel here, 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 and here, it's going to be quite the hassle. So we have a thing that's going to call the Loxone trust, as we said. And we're now going to make, as for example, Richard explained with the different settlements, we're just going to make it now that the gateway miniserver, both, and the mini server from B, as well as the facility management mini server, are gonna join the same trust. So I'll just make a blue circle here. I'm gonna put this one, as well as this one, and my other gateway mini server, all in the same trust, which allows us to share the users that they have, learn them in on the other mini servers, and give them rights directly to the NFC. So this FM mini server can now load out users from here, and users from here, and all give them rights for the NFC so that they can actually park the car. Other way around, if I have a cleaning user specifically created on the FM on my facility management mini server, this gateway can load out the user, my B mini server can load out the user, as well as my gateway mini server from my A company can also load out the cleaning personal user and give them rights for the NFC, which they might have here between the districts. So everybody has now, via the user management, I'm also going to show in the config, the possibility to reach to a certain districts. I can still completely manage it, so that, for example, like here, a developer can only be in his developing space, and the marketing guy, for example, could go back to the developers if you want that, right? Perfect.
So there were a few questions in the chat. So what if the facility management mini server goes offline? Will the other mini servers have the credentials cached locally?
Sure. So he has his own program, of course, and that is saved into the mini server. Theoretically, when you delete the user, then he's going to be gone. But if you have it in here and the other one is gone, still the code that he's saved on is going to work.
So there is a live sync. Let's come to your place and we turn the camera around.
Sure.
So there is a live synchronization of the users you create or delete. And how is it in practice? There is a company, that's fine. There's a company where, sorry, Manuel, you know that. There's a company A who learns in new users. There's employees coming and going, that's live, right? So these people can, in their own visualization, create and change users. And these are directly synchronized, okay? That's the really cool feature about it. So now Andy shares the, put this black thing a bit over my face. So Andy's sharing the screen, showing how to do it. Again, we have to rush over the last few topics because we are already over the time. But please wait for the final feature, and I also have a nice Christmas gift for all of you participants.
It's going to be worth to stay. So now we are going to create a trust. I am on my first mini server. You can see right on top of it, we have the trust. And the easy thing is now that I can either create a trust or join a trust.
So you're still in the client gateway. Maybe you release them, or are you?
No, I'm not. Okay. They're already released. So
all right.
I'm going to create a trust from the mini server one. I'm just going to leave it called trust. Theoretically, you could give a company a name, whatever. And here from this manager, I can now add members. So I'm going to say add new member, which I'm going to have to add with the serial number of the mini server. So again, I'm going to jump over to my mini server 2. I'm going to enter mini server serial number to my trust member right here. And very importantly, now I'm going to have to save in the mini server. So it's going to take over, hey, I'm the trust creator. I have a trust member in here with that serial number. And now what I can do is I can generate a trust key. I'll just click on that. I'll save it here under my documents. And I would just mail over to the other administrator or to my other settlement in Spain, to my colleague, hey, this is the trust key. Please go to your mini server, go to your trust. Now I'm mini server 2.
You made a local file, like a Word, with a key in it. And you share this key via email, via however, and he now imports this key.
So I'm now going to send this over via mail, whatever, to my other colleague. Now on my mini server 2, I'm going to join the trust. And he already asks me for the trust key. So I'm going to say search. Here's my trust, LX trust, right under my documents where I saved it earlier. Say open and join trust.
And if you remotely manage multiple systems, like I could manage Loxone Spain, Loxone Austria, because I have external access, then you can do all of this without going there, of course, or without sharing this trust key with anybody.
And as you can already see, after saving into the mini server, he already turned green. I can now say here, manage users and groups. And here I can already see the created admin user, full access and user group from my other mini server 1. I can now say plus, add my user groups and my users. And when I go to my user management, you can see here that these have been created. There's also an Andy and a Richard in here. That's just a local one. You can see by the icon, this is the admin from the other mini server. So I could give him now special rights, right? That my admin is in the full access, for example, or I could get this admin, manage permissions. This window is going to pop up and I can directly give him now permissions or remove them if I say add permissions. So here, for example, he only has the possibility to change his own password from the rights he's getting himself. I could go over to, for example, my other mini server, so to my other admin user, and he is, as you can see, in the full access group. And the full access group, of course, it has what it says, it has full access. So if I would like my other admin also to have like direct full access to my system, then I would just give him to make another group maybe and give them the correct access. Like for example, here users, I would just say add permissions. Here I could give them user management, operating modes that he can connect to the Loxone config. I could say you can only see specific parts of the visualization, like specific rooms, only bedroom, bathroom, or even just specific blocks like an NFC code touch or anything.
Like my mom in my house only sees the visualization for opening the main gate and the door of the house. I gave her external access to do so. Not for my mother-in-law, just for my real mom.
All right, so here's where you can use and manage all your other users that you have saved over from the other trusts as well. This is where I would get over my cleaning personnel and then would just directly give them access to all my NFC code touches. Of course, the users, so the codes or the fobs that have already been assigned to her are taking over, right? So the cleaning staff then is always going to have access to my NFCs that I'm going to give them here the rights for.
So again, Loxone Austria and Loxone Spain generating a trust with each other. Richard, which is learned in with his key fob, with his phone, maybe, as I have an Android, so I have an NFC on my phone as well, to all your iPhone users. No. So everything I have, code, NFC, everything is now being transferred to Loxone Spain as well. And then Loxone Spain can still decide where can Richard enter, maybe just the main door, maybe not the warehouse and everything. And that's just done by this. It's also live synchronizing if, hopefully not, Richard in Austria is deleted as a user. And then it would also no longer be accessible to Loxone Spain. And that's the cool thing about this trust. So not only for really different companies locally, like Spain and Austria, but also in the project we just had, there is different mini servers which are not in a gateway, not linked like this. I mean, some of them, but not all of them. And we transfer certain data like weather information on intercommunication. And on trust, we make it now super easy to share facility management, general accesses, all these topics. And again, it's super, super fast today. So contact us for this. We train our guys brutally on the big projects now. So this was user management. Now I'd like to talk about BACnet. And I never knew BACnet before since we went to Saudi Arabia. And then we kicked it off with a small BACnet project with 2,200 villas. Yes.
Just a small one.
Just a small one to give it a start, to give it a try. So BACnet is based on network. And let me show you real quick. So again, not a BACnet. There's a dedicated master training on the BACnet if you want to join these. And it's here in the mini server communication. So here, network periphery. Then I have here BACnet. And then there is again BACnet specific topics like the port, the IP. You can have sensors and actuators, as we all know. Right.
Also, we should mention that, for example, the trust as well as the BACnet only works on mini server generation 2.
Yes.
If you're wondering.
Again, these are network specific topics, and in terms of processing power and other limiting factors of the generation 1, these features are only for the second generation. So BACnet, just know that we have it and contact us if you need it. Okay. Then there was another topic which often leads to problems, and this is self and PELF. How should mini servers and especially 3 devices should be connected, and what are the typical problems? And if you have different power supplies in the same cabinet, but also especially in other cabinets, if you don't ground them together, make the minus of one power supply to the other one. The problem is, if not, you might have different potentials So 0 volt for one power supply might not be 0 volt on the other one. And that's the problem. But when you link those two on the minus, you get the same potential. Now, in praxis, it's not always possible to connect all the power supplies from different floors to each other. So what can you do there? And there is one option, correct me if I'm wrong, you are the tech guys. When you go for PELF and you use the earth, the yellow-green one, and put the minus on the yellow-green one, which is the same then for all the power supplies, then this problem is also solved. So just want to mention it as it's still, we also do it in the training, but it's still often a support case. And it will result to strange behaviors. Sometimes it's not reproducible. There is other factors which then only in certain cases, it's terrible to find this mistake then, okay?
Maybe one point from my side, guys, please use fuses in the 24-volt installation, in the DC. There we often see projects where there are no use fuses.
Yeah, fuses, big topic. Nobody would come to the idea to not have 230 volt with a fuse. Yeah. But on 24, it's often like, yeah, come on, it's 24, but
I can touch it.
It doesn't hurt as much. So how bad can it be? But also there in our show home, when you search on Google in the cabinet of our show home, there's dedicated rail with a lot of fuses for all the LED stripes, for example, 24 volt. Then there is certain features that you guys should use. There is tree diagnostics, for example, where you see dedicated problems related on tree. So for example, the only thing you're not allowed to do is on tree to make a circle. So you can go star, bus, daisy chain, mix it up. The only thing which is bad is if you circle somewhere. And you would see this in the tree intercommunication. You see directly which of the tree branches you have is affected. So use those features. Same as for the, how's it called? The device status. Gerätestatus in German, device status. So there you see a lot, also on air. Air is a whole topic we could make a webinar about. Maybe we should. Maybe you should rate in the chat or write us that we should make a dedicated air webinar, because there's also a lot. What, camera offline? No.
I think we're good.
We're good? No. Andy, did you touch it, Andy?
It was me.
It's always him. So use those device status features. There's a link diagnostic. There is a ton of stuff that helps you out yourself. Then I'd like to say that we are hardly working on the, not hardly, we are hard working on the on the documentation. So we work a lot on it to improve it and make it easier for you to help yourself. We are improving the processes in our support to give you the best or the correct answer solution faster. So we're working on this. It's a big topic for next year to support you better. Now, Manuel will talk about a feature which is also brand new, and I think it's very underrated. So it doesn't have the attention yet, which it deserves. And that's the Loxone library.
Yeah. Thank you guys for the great explanation and the great features that you have in the configuration software from us. So we released really a great feature, Guy. I think for 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. The Loxone still in the beta here.
It's still in the beta. The Loxone library, guys. We released it for 3 months, and now we have more than, I think, 300 different templates in that. So the Loxone library give you really a great platform to bring different products, other products interface to the Loxone interface. And in big projects, we know there is Loxone, there are a lot of other products, heating, cooling, and whatever. And with the Loxone library, you got it easy in the Loxone config. You can create in the Loxone library your own templates. You can load it up. Richard will show us how it looks like. Then we check it and we will load it up if everything is okay. There are a lot of categories inside. You can see it on the left side, and it helps a lot, and we get really great feedback from the market.
Sorry, that was now me being completely crazy. Sorry. I was searching the how to create for. So here on the left side, as Manuel mentioned, you can
Modbus RS 485. And there is also explanation, maybe you show it, Richard, how should look like the template, the description and an end.
Yeah, so for example, let's take one energy meter here. So you can say what interface should it be on, Modbus as a filter, and then here also in a category, like every energy meter. And if you then download it here, there is a nice explanation how it's done with some inputs, outputs, and then you have it as a local file. It's no longer in the config by default. All of a sudden, one day, I was like, hey, where the hell are all the Modbus templates gone, right? And it was always a problem that this was not perfectly actual, because every config release, we updated them. But in between, if the manufacturer changed something or whatever, it wasn't possible for us to give you the right one. So now we say we put it all online here in the library. You can download what you need. And then here on Modbus, you can then import the local template. So where is it gone now? Here, this energy meter. And now I have it as a template. Here, template, this meter. And now I have here all the sensors already with the right registers on Modbus learned in. All I have to do is set the right Modbus address in case it's something different.
And I'm sure, guys, you outside have different templates. Maybe use it only by your own. Please send it to us. Then everybody all over the world can use the great,
also with a Miniserver.
great things.
I will post the link in the chat. It's library.loxone.com. And if you're logged in here, that's what I was saying, like there is like a guideline how you should create those templates. And there is like a video for it, hey, how you're going to do it, how you upload it. And there is also an option for manufacturers, and those templates are labeled. So if it's from a partner, you see, and also other partners can rate it. And you see here, this is from Loxone, works with Loxone. There is other ones like with this one here. This is by Pavel Urban done, this one here. It's new. And then people can rate it, give it a rating. Hey, it worked for me. Maybe it didn't work for me. And then this should be a community. And there is prizes to win. What did you say? A mini-server?
There's a mini-server. So everybody.
There's mini-servers to win on the templates you create. So you should really have a look into these. And as we all are Loxonauts all around the globe, we should all work together on making it easier for everybody to integrate certain features. Okay?
Perfect.
So that was the library. Then there is one point. Nobody likes it, and I have to tell you. It's labeling. Labeling correctly in the beginning. Imagine this 2,200 villas we were talking about. If you do a mistake somewhere, and the program is kind of the same for all of them. If you do a mistake in one flat, in one villa, where it takes you 5 minutes to correct, times 2,200. It's crazy. And also in any kind of project, having the right labeling for devices. And I give you a few examples now. Let's add some tree devices. And this is now really, if you do this, you save time after. Trust me on this. We make a trust now. I send you the key. I add a tree device, motion sensor. Loxone motion sensor. It's in the description. What's the description now? The room is clear. Let's say it's in the kitchen. What's the description? What's the difference between the description and installation location? This could be, what would you guys say? Motion. Or?
With a motion sensor?
Yes.
Yeah.
And where is the installation location?
Probably on the ceiling, right?
Ceiling.
Ceiling here.
And this is then super clear where it is. What about now a device which you don't see? An RGBW dimmer or the compact dimmer, for example. It can be somewhere below the ceiling, the suspended ceiling. But after 2 years going there, do you know where it is? No, it sucks. And therefore, we say the description is like TV effect light in the kitchen. Yes, I have a TV in the kitchen. Don't judge me. Installation location is hang, ceiling, left, corner, south, there. Okay? So you know exactly where it is. For a motion sensor, it's clear because you see it. but for all those devices who act on a different location as where they are installed, please label them correctly. And if you do all of this nicely, also you can do the auto configuration afterwards, the auto config, super nice, but also for maintenance, for going thereafter. Nobody likes to make documentations, but if you do this properly, then you have also, when you make some partners still don't know this feature, that you can print your project. And if you do this, then all the devices, the mini server and everything is printed out. And if you label the inputs here nicely, let's say Gira 24 volt. Oh no, sorry, CEO is next to me. Let's say any third party input, Gira, whatever, room category, nicely done. Kitchen category is lighting. Then you print it out, and then you get a print out, and you see, okay, on the mini server, I have on the first input this thing here to connect to. Okay. So then, now coming finally to the most interesting things. I will keep the new feature for the last part.
Yeah.
And now I will hand over again to Manuel, talking first about our brand new project, our own project, the Loxone campus.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. So now we can see how it should look like, the campus. We will finish them 2023, the first quarter. So we're really looking forward to make a brand opening for our great new campus. And you can, I think you can imagine how it looked like. It's a really big project. We have not only an office, so we have here, maybe I want to give you a short overview what's built in this campus. We have here, you can see my mouse.
Yes.
Here we have over 400 working spaces for people. Here we have 6,000 square meter for our product warehouse. Here we have a really big auditorium. Here we have 600 people here inside. Here we have a hotel with 80 rooms. We have also 5 training rooms. Mm-hmm. You know, it's really important for us that you will come to our trainings. You see today a lot of great features. You get details in the trainings. So please join the trainings, industrial trainings and so on. You know it. And we have a wellness area. And we have a big restaurant with 600 places inside. And you can imagine for these big projects, we not can use only one mini server. We have a few hundred mini servers in this project, and we will get new products inside for sure, for the hotel especially. Now I am working on a few hotel projects. Big one, we are in cooperation with Steigenberger Hotels. They have more than 100 hotels and a few others all over the world. My new role is to keep an eye on how it should look like the architecture in really big projects. So as Richard told you, please ring us, speak with us. We will support you perfectly for a big project. And if you have a big project where maybe we have not the right products now, please ask us. We will do an NDA maybe with you, and we speak also over products that will come in a year. Because we are building a big campus. We are working on really great new products for hotel and so on. So it will be really nice. And you see how big is that? Now we are sitting in our base camp. We built it 2013, and it's getting really big and nice. And I'm looking forward to see you all in the campus 2023. I'm looking forward for hear from you, for that we get big projects inside, that we can support you. As Richard told you, we have 2,000 houses in Saudi Arabia, so I'm looking forward also for this project. And please take care about the features that you saw today, that you work in the right way, and we will help you again.
So the campus is super crazy. I can't even say how much I'm looking forward to this. And as we said, 6,000 square meters of 10-meter high warehouse. I know it's been a rough time last year, not only for us, but in the electronic sector in general. But just imagine having from this small warehouse here a 6,000 square meter one. Only this is super, super amazing. And all the campus, I have to thank every single partner of you, because you are the ones who made this possible. And I'm super, super glad for everyone around the world. And we are like a Loxone family to me. And all of you made this possible.
And maybe one point in this big project, energy management will take a big part. Because there we need a lot of energy, and also you see we want to save CO2 on the square meters. I don't know, 6 hectare. I don't know the English. That's
no, it's not anchor, but anchor is a different. It's freaking big.
But 80% of the roof will be grass.
That's cool.
That's really, really awesome. So you see, we're looking. In the future, and also with the mini server we can take we can save CO2. 40% from the CO2 is from the buildings. So you have it in the hand and we have it in the hand. Our system, you saw a few great features, brings us to energy management, to a great one.
Yeah, we need a big auto mower. That's true. And I'm still not sure if this X here is Loxone or a helicopter space.
We'll see.
Who knows? So to sum it up, the hotel sector will be a huge focus for us. There is new products already in the line. And for those of you who are seriously working on hotel projects, contact us. As Manuel said, we can sign an NDA and share product information with you, because there are some on the way. And I saw them and
because these projects you have to plan it 2 years before they will build.
Yeah.
So that's the big point. And if you know planners, normally planners make the planning. So please give us the name from the planners. We will ring the guys and support them also really well.
Also, very recently, there was a project realized with the company Shell.
Yeah, we have with Shell, we have a cooperation. We build up 250 gas stations, and there will come a few hundred again all over the world. So they are also use our product, because they say it's really great what you have and what you can do with trust and so on. But we saw today.
So as always, the limits are in your head, guys. And I am now going to show you the great new feature.
Cool.
And it's still in the alpha version. I thought it's in the beta. That's why I was like putting it in the webinar, but I just saw it's still in the alpha only. So please don't tell anyone.
Maybe there's one question. How you can get in contact for a special detail for hotels? Please ask your partner coach, and I will share the information with him. Then you will get it.
Yes. So always contact your partner coaches. Their job is your success. So for any topic related to any kind of project, contact them. So now I created a new file called new freaking cool feature. And now I'm going to release it because I said it. And what if, okay, let's make the rhetorical like this. What if you have a hotel with 80 rooms? You have 80 times maybe the same configuration, lighting controller, shading, heating, and or cooling, and access maybe. Do you now have to do it? How to save or how to transfer this one similar project to 80 different mini servers? Yes, you can make like kind of this template, local file, save in another mini server, change the serial number, exchange the devices. Yes, but what if you made a small mistake? Or you want to change some settings? How can you do it? And therefore, we made a brand new feature, and it's called the multiplicator. And as I said, I don't know if the name stays fixed. I don't know if the feature stays as it is. Let's have a look on how it's done now. So I can now say here, convert this to a multiplicator project. Okay. Then there is some disclaimers. Hey, don't dry your cat in the microwave and stuff. And then you see I have now here several different mini servers which I can control. I can search for mini servers. Here you see in the Basecamp, there is tons of mini servers. I can add them like this. I can add them by hand here to add a mini server. And these would all be the different hotel rooms. Like this could be room 2, room 3, and so on. All right, room 1. And then you can here enter the serial number, the local access address, the user and password. But you can also do it via the search as usual in the same network again. But also now you can, if you manage those mini servers, do crazy great stuff. You can update all of them at once. Alone, this feature is super cool. You can make changes on one template and then you can save it. So if, for example, you made a mistake in the parameter of the lighting controller, the TH time is too short. As all of you experts know, the TH time is the time after the last motion, how long the light stays on. So if you want to change it, you can do it. You change it in the master program, and then you save here into all of your 80 mini servers. And this is such a huge game changer. I am definitely thinking about the 2,200 villas, if it's really the same, to do the same. And then, of course, you can connect them to every hotel room. And the only thing that's left afterwards is to couple the devices, learn in the right NFC, spots, and everything. So this feature to me is really a game changer. This is something no one else on the market can even come close to. And there is such too much talking today. Machine gun Richard out of ammo. So there is still more to come, which I cannot even talk about yet. So now I'm super glad that almost everybody still stayed. I'm super happy for this. That's why I will now start a poll, a Christmas gift for all of you, where I will gift all of you a 30% discount on what would you need the most. It's a mini server, of course. So all of you participants can now have a 30% discount on one mini server if you now say you want it. And I think that's the most, we see the numbers. So I think I've reached my target for this year. So see you next year.
You got the bonus.
I got the bonus. He said it, it's recorded. I will refer to it. So no, seriously, guys. I mean, we had crazy great questions in the chat, super nice conversations. We probably, if you liked it, then give us reviews on this. We might do something like this more often, maybe for the German-speaking market. There should be dedicated ones, as we have so many partners there in the German areas in German, maybe, hopefully. I hope still all of you who joined could understand me, or all of us. And again, we really rely on you guys. Your success is Loxone's business. We will really tattoo this to all of our Loxonauts, because I really mean it. And all of our partner coaches, all of our employees, they will work with you together even closer if you let us. And that's my approach to you guys. Let's work together more often and better, especially on the bigger projects, especially on as fast as we develop new features. Let's talk, guys. That's the guy's job, is to call you guys, to contact with you, to make project planning. So please use it.
Really great. And thank you also from my side. We had a lot of participants today. It was really nice. And we are happy that we can give you a new input today.
So for all of you interested, we now just got out 300 mini servers.
Really good. Awesome.
So guys, you will receive tomorrow the recording of the webinar. You will also receive some information about this mini server. You can just contact the administration that will be informed all around the globe. You can contact your partner coach about this 30% discount, and that's it. Okay. So again, thank you very much. I really enjoyed this evening. Thank you for you guys assisting me. And I wish all of you nice holidays and stay safe, guys.
Guys, it was a pleasure. Have a nice Christmas.
Ciao, bye.
Ciao.
All over the world.